afternoon, everybody. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about something that's probably a question of a lot of y'all when y'all trying to spend money on fishing line. So in today's video, I want to talk about how long does braided fishing line actually last? Because I've been using this stuff for a while and it's that time. So I'm going to tell you what makes me decide to change my braided fishing line and about how long you can look at using a set of Power Pro or whatever type braid you usually use, and kind of the things that will make them wear out faster. Let's talk about how long your braided fishing line will actually last. Alright guys, so today I was actually looking at my rods, and like this is my BTB rod on my kayak. For y'all that doesn't know what BTB means, it's beyond the breakers. It's a term we use in kayak fishing when you go past the break in your kayak offshore in the saltwater. So I'm probably gonna wind up changing this one out and some of my smaller reels because it's winter now, guys, and it's the time to like redo a lot of your gear, kind of catch up because fishing is slowed way down. So if you're wondering like what makes you want to change your fishing line, your braided fishing line, is a few things. So the top three things you need to look at straight up, be honest about it, is if the color is starting to go away, starting to fade in them, the line starts to look a little frayed, and if it just starts looking brittle. I don't know how to explain it, but after a while it'll start just like acting weird and looking weird. You probably get some wind knots, and it's about time for it to go. This stuff will last a lot longer than mono, but it doesn't last forever. All right, here's my point on that. It has a lot to do with how much you cast with it and how much you fish with it. Like this one. This line's been on there forever, right? It's been on there about probably 4 years, and I could probably still get a little more out of it. See how discolored it is? This used to be like bright blue. It's 50-pound braid, okay? So if I lost 50% strength, I'm still at 25. That's big enough to catch most things offshore in a kayak, from king mackerel to tuna or whatever. So this fishing line right here is the same kind of line. It's just a smaller diameter, and this was on my redfish reels. I've casted a lot with this reel, a lot. I've done bass fishing with it, I've done everything with this reel, so it's casted a lot. The line has gotten a lot more wear on it. I would have to change this braid out a lot more than I'd have to change that braid out, if that makes sense. So when you're trying to judge, I keep hitting it on the ceiling, when you're trying to judge how long your line's gonna last, it's kind of like what you're doing with it. When you're casting a lot, and you're putting a lot of wear on it, fishing around structure and stuff, odds are somewhere in here is going to be a nick. There's going to be a nick in it somewhere, and you need to like strip off line every once in a while, probably like 100 yards worth of it, and just see if there's any bad spots. Just run it through your fingers, and if not, rock steady, put it back on. If there is, you have a couple choices. You can either cut it out and tie it, cut it out and not re-add, or you can flip the braid. Basically take this off, flip it around, run the other side back on here and run it again, and use the line that was in the bottom of the spool on this. That'll make your braid last a lot longer. Actually, I did a video on that, I think on the channel a long time ago. I basically just walked the length of the pasture with the line, took it off, went to the other end, put it back on, ran it back up, and actually, I think that's the line that's still on that reel, the big reel. So keep in mind when you're saying how long does it last. Like this Fierce right here, this line has been on there about 1.5 years, and I fished it hard. And it's starting to get a little dry and a little crusty, but I'll probably still fish with it a while. This line has been on here about 1 year. This is Cast King. It's done. Like it's time for it to go. It's brittle, it's fraying, it's lost its color, so it's done. That casking on the big reel probably needs to be changed this year, and I'm going to change out the braided fishing line on that. I'm just going to make the change. Like this is the old stuff right here, very brittle, it's fraying. So look for frays, look for nicks, look for discoloration, look for it being brittle, and you'll have an idea it's about time to change out your fishing line. If you fish a lot, I mean a lot, like 3 or 4 times a week, 2 times a week, or you're making hundreds of casts when you do fish, your line is not going to last as long as if you're a once a weeker or once a monther or, you know, 5 times a year. The line will last a long time like that. It's when it's getting wet and not wet and wet, not wet and wet, not wet, and working with and structure, flipping and jigging and cutting and just putting a lot of wear and tear on the line. You're probably gonna get 2 years out of it, maybe 3. But your tournament guys, you're probably only get like 6 months to a year because you're gonna be cutting and tying and running into structure and getting hung up. Or if you're trolling and you got lines out a long ways, odds are a bluefish is gonna probably nick that thing somewhere within the 75 yards. And that's just the facts of life, guys. You gotta take that into account. It's really not, I don't think, the fishing line's life. It's really more what kind of fisherman you are and where you're fishing and how good you take care of it. Whether you wash the line off and whether you just do the basic maintenance, like keep it in a controlled environment versus like in the cold, like in a shed. So just keep that in mind. But I will say this, that the braided fishing line will last a lot longer than the mono, and you're gonna get a lot longer lifespan out of it, like probably 1.5 years. I usually get about 1 year, 1.5 years, and then I gotta start changing out. And I fish a lot, but I'm not like a tournament guy that is out there just pounding docks like all day. Because obviously that line is going to go out a lot faster. So I hope this video makes sense. I hope it helps somebody. Comment down below with how long you've used your braided fishing line, and so everybody can know if they're willing to, if they're thinking about spending the money to transition to braid, if it's worth it or not. I think it is, because like I said, I've gotten like a couple years out of this line. I like the Power Pro versus other lines like Cast King and everything because it just lasts longer. I hope this makes sense, guys. I hope this helps. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm going to continue trying to do these little tackle updates, because on this channel we're all about documenting the process of what I've learned, because this channel's gone from when I knew nothing to now when I'm done a lot, and you can see my mishaps and my problems from beginning to end, just documenting my educational process in the kayak fishing world and in the fishing world and in the life world. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys later. Whew.
Catch anything?
Yeah, I got me a big king.
Awesome.
I was out there like 15 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
So I get to go around.
Yeah, he swallowed the hook. I couldn't let him go, and this one's about, I don't know, like 30, 25 pounds maybe.
That's pretty as hell. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
We caught him like, so not even 50 yards out there.
Does it taste good?
So what kind?
Yeah. This is a king mackerel.
Okay.
King mackerel.
Yeah.
Good day today.
Hey, we ain't gonna hold you up, brother.
All right.
Hey,
Take
you
care.
good, my man.
All right.
Have a great night.
Well, do you too.